What should you be looking for in your Makingtaxdigital software? Hi, I'm Kimberly Shapcotts, qualified chartered accountant, property investor and entrepreneur. Let's sit down and have a chat. Makingtaxdigital is coming. We now have dates, so whether you were already renting property and you're over the 50,000, 30,000 or 20,000, or you're looking at getting into property and you're going to be in the future, Makingtaxdigital is coming, or it is definitely here, depending when you're watching this video. That means we need to be looking at what sort of software options we have available and what considerations you need to be making when you're making those decisions. Now, some of this is not really tax related, but it is a very important point to see what do you want out of that software. So let's consider a few of the different ideas of what we need to be considering, and then we can also look at some of the things that as you're making your decisions, what you need to be doing to make sure that you're getting the right software that works for you. So the first point I would like to kind of dive into is probably the practicality side of things. How IT literate are you? Do you need any help? So depending how well you can work with a computer, it may be you are amazing on computers, you can work with any software. So actually it's very simple. Practicality wise, you will be able to work with whichever one you choose, and it's just finding the right one for you for whatever other reason, which we can go on to what other reasons you will need to consider. It may be you go, I've got the properties, but I can't use a computer. I know I need to go digital, but I'm going to need some help. And when you're at that point, it may be you need to be speaking to your accountant, you need to be working with them to find a way of how are you going to work on a digital footprint going forward. Whether they do everything for you, or whether you learn certain things, or you've got family members who may be able to support and assist you to get things up and running, and they can help on a continuing basis, which may be great, especially if you are of an older generation and maybe at some point you will want to gift or pass or do something with your children, whoever you may be passing things to, business partner, so that helps you move forward as well with your property business. This kind of moves me on to the complexity side of things, of how complex is your property business. Is it that you've just got one property that's a buy-to-let property and it's relatively simple, but maybe it's in London, so based on that you're going to be over the income threshold limits. So on that basis you need to do something because you fall within Makingtaxdigital. But actually the income is one lot of income each month that maybe you get direct, maybe you don't even have a letting agent, you've just got a tenant in there that pays you direct. And then you've got your insurance, and maybe you've got the odd repair each year. Maybe you've got your ICO because you're doing it yourself. So you've maybe got 12 income transactions and maybe 3 or 4 expense transactions, which is relatively straightforward. There's no complexity hopefully there for it. So that may be you can use a very simple approach to your digital record keeping. Alternatively, you may have 20 properties in your own name with a variety of different property types with loads of expenses because different things are happening in different properties all the time. And it's quite a complex sort of business, which at the moment, maybe you don't have any software because you don't really need it. You're keeping track of it on your bank statements and that side of things. And the accountant rolls it all together, or you are, and you put it on your tax return once a year. Obviously, going forward, you are going to need a bit more structure to that because you're going to have to be keeping digital records. Now, depending on which direction you're taking may determine what type of software you're needing. Now, the one thing I would say here is you can still use something like a spreadsheet or Google Sheets or any of the different ones which do some sort of spreadsheet format like Excel, Google Sheets, and any of the other versions that are out there. The only thing I would note with using some sort of spreadsheet software is that you will need some bridging software to connect that spreadsheet up to the HMRC systems. Now, we're not going to dive into the options with bridging at this point, but I would say Your accountant will have bridging software if you work with an accountant. So if you are going down an accountant route, it may be you can keep the spreadsheet and you send it to your accountant once a quarter. They use the bridging software to send it off. If you're not using an accountant, then you will need to get yourself some bridging software. So just say, I'm going to do a spreadsheet. Yes, you're ticking the digital record keeping box, but then to enable you to do the submission, there is a little something extra that you will need to do. Alternatively, you go straight into some sort of software, and we'll go on to the things you need to just have a look at before diving into a software, and then that software will have the appropriate boxes that each quarter you work through the Makingtaxdigital process to do your quarterly submission. So this moves us on to the box of functionality, and all the different softwares out there, whether you're Hammock, Landlord Vision, QuickBooks Zero, Free Agent, all of the different softwares that are out there, they will all have their pros, they will all have their cons. One of the things I will always say is you need to make sure that you are happy and you know how to use it. So if you find it really hard work and difficult, maybe that is not the right software for you. You don't want to have to learn something that you're struggling every single time you open it. However, I will say there will be a learning curve, whatever software you decide to use. Also, we need to consider what functionality it's got. Can it deal with those jointly owned properties? The other side of things is it more a bookkeeping software, or is it a landlord focused property software with the finance functionality, with the Makingtaxdigital side of things all incorporated? So depending on the approach that you are taking, you may want a more bookkeeping approach, or you may want something to help keep track of your properties, which also does the finances. So you're actually getting a double benefit with the software, because actually you're able to keep track of your properties better, as well as it's doing the bits that you legally have to do. This kind of comes to the question of, what do you want your software to do? You may not want it to do anything because you don't need it to do anything at this point in time, but what are the benefits going to be to you for using that software? So if you kind of want to keep track of some of your interest rates, of when the mortgage product's done, can your software do that for you? So maybe you don't have to have a separate folder or a separate spreadsheet which details all the different numbers and you have to go into that to keep track of it. Would it not be great maybe if your software would be able to do that for you? Does it have bank feeds so you can connect your bank up, which therefore downloads the transactions for you to have to do something with, rather than maybe upload a CSV file? So you've got to go to your bank, do your download, get your download, then you have to take that CSV file, upload it into the software to get it into there to enable. Some of these are what is it doing for you to enable it to make it easy, rather than to make it a big difficult job that you have to do each month, each quarter. So what are you getting out of that software? Is it telling you when you're in arrears, where you've got a tenant that's not paid you? Will it do reminders for things like your gas certificates, your insurance renewal, all of these things which we need to keep track of, especially the more properties you have, the more things you have to obviously be aware of. Over the next couple of months, we will be having a look at some of the different software out there, and I'll see about putting a video together for everyone to show what different softwares are out there for you to have a look at, to see what may be the best one for you. What I would say is, if you are going to use a software, get a demo version first. Have a play with it, see how it fits together before you sign on the dotted line and then you're using something. That way it gives you a chance to just have a play around, have a look around, see how it works. Is it easy? Is it hard? How's it fit together? So that you can see what you are doing with it, or at least get someone to show it to you so you can see how it fits together. So it may be a demo version to play with, it may be a demo from the manufacturer, or it may be a demo from your accountant. Do you like it? Can you use it? And they are big things, because if you don't like it and you don't use it, you're not going to be complying with the regulations, because you're not going to want to be doing it. So the easier it can be, the better. Obviously with AI these days, there's a lot of things. If you've got a regular income coming in, it's the same amount. Some of the softwares will automatically allocate that to that tenant because it can see the reference is correct, all the different things fit with that tenant. So it makes the job actually really, really easy, and it does most of the work for you. So it depends which software you're using of how smart, how clever it is. But obviously there is normally a cost implication of this, and the more properties you have, the higher the cost that it's going to be for your software. A final consideration that I'll just add is, what is your accountant going to be working with? Because different accountants will likely use different software and have different preferred software. The reason being, an accountant is not going to learn 20 different types of software for 20 different versions, because they don't have time to be learning every software that's out there. So they will have preferred options. And on the basis they will have preferred options, it may be you go down that route, because then you know you're going to be getting support from those people who are using it regularly. They know how it works, they're able to support you, and they'll make sure it all runs really smoothly and efficiently, so it keeps any additional costs that may be coming down as far as possible. Unfortunately, Makingtaxdigital is going to be an added cost to our businesses. Hopefully with rent increases and things like that, it will take into consideration the small charges that are going to be added on to our property businesses, so that it's not going to be a costly endeavour for most property businesses. But hopefully if you choose the right one, it may be either free, Excel, spreadsheets, that side of things. But if you're working with an accountant, you may not need bridging software. If you're not, there will be some cost for the bridging software side of things. For any of the other software packages, they're usually on a monthly subscription, which therefore means it will just be an added cost that you need to account for on a monthly basis. And different ones will be charging different amounts. As you can see, there's a few considerations, there's a few thought processes you need to go through just to get you to the right point in time. Definitely speak to your other property investor friends, see what they're using, see what your accountant's preference is, and have a look at the software to assess it for yourself, to check that you are going to be able to work with that right one. We'll be doing some demos on the channel, so do keep an eye out for those as they come in to show you how different things work on the channel. Good luck finding the right software for you and your property business. Hopefully today you've discovered some of the things you should be thinking about when getting ready for Makingtaxdigital. If you have any questions, then please do leave a comment. Please like the video and do subscribe to the channel. And let's make tax less taxing. Let's make tax less taxing.